Hello everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and as you may or may not know, I also work in the board game industry. I spent the last 3.5 years or so working for Tasty Minstrel Games, and I recently accepted a job with Fun Again Logistics. FunAgain.com has been an online retailer for over 2 decades of board games and board game accessories and card games and what have you. They also have like a brick and mortar locations located out in Oregon as well. My job with Fun Again is I am a account manager that handles people that run Kickstarter campaigns for their board games and then need help in handling the fulfillment. A lot of people will run a board game Kickstarter and they don't have like a warehouse, or they don't have the ability to ship out thousands upon thousands of packages. And what Fun Again does is that they have warehouses, they have shipping options and things like that, and so they take on that task and they handle that. And so that's what I do. I reach out to people, and or they reach out to me, and I handle that process and making sure that their backers get their games in a very fast and safe and expedient manner. Now, one of the cool things about working for Fun Again is that they also will purchase games from the Kickstarter campaigns, like the like really cool games that have all the things that like all the Kickstarter accessories and what have you, and then they will sell them on their website, because people that will miss out on those Kickstarters will be, you know, like they'll have the FOMO going on, or the fear of missing out. And today is like what will probably be a series of videos that I will do for this, to let people know that there's that you can get access to those if you happen to miss the Kickstarter. Now, the first one that I'm doing here is this Deluxe Master Set for Snowdonia. Now, in a little bit, I'm just going to show you everything that's inside this box, but I'm just going to tell you a few brief things about Snowdonia. I purchased this game back in 2012 when it first came out, and it was one of my, and it still is one of my favorite worker placement games. Richard Ham and I, not to name drop or anything like that, but this is like one of Richard Ham's favorite worker placement games as well. It was one of those things where it had the perfect marriage of mechanisms with the theme that just made the game a lot of fun. Now, truth be told, the designer Tony Boydell has since made a game that I like more than this, but it isn't the same, and that's Guilds of London. But that's a completely different game. But it is one of those things where the designer, Tony here, has only gotten better and made better games, at least for me, since this one. But this one still is a game that I really enjoy. Now, one of the things about this, since it came out in 2012, there have been tons of little tiny, and not so tiny, little expansions that have come out, whether it's just a single card or if it's just a new scenario. These are things that like would be sometimes included with other games, or they would be like sold at certain conventions and things like that, and they would then be a little bit tough to track down. You know, you'd have to go on eBay or go on Board Game Geek and try to like see if somebody had picked it up as a promo and didn't have a base game and wanted to sell it. Of course, then you're like, oh, I gotta pay $20 for like 1 or 2 cards. You're like, oh, I can't do that. So I spent a lot of time tracking down a lot of those expansions for my base game, and I got a fair amount. I mean, if you go to Snowdonia, you'll actually see that it has like 27 expansions, and like I said, some of those are just like a single card or things like that. Now, you could probably play the game, or if you own the base version of Snowdonia, you could probably play that and you'd never have to worry about that. But I do know there's a lot of people out there that are like me, that they want to have everything. Even if they never played with it, they just want to have everything. It's the collector in us. It is that, as I said, that FOMO, the fear of missing out. And it's very real. And it's just like there is a bit of excitement, a bit of happiness that goes along with having everything. So what the really cool thing was NSCAN Games did was they had this Kickstarter for the master set, and this includes everything. It includes all those little expansions, so you don't have to worry about it. So, and this was something that like I meant to back. I wanted to back it, and then for whatever reason, I either forgot or whatever, and I didn't get it. And then I saw people were getting these, and I was just like, oh man, that stinks. I really wish I had gotten it. And I was lucky enough to be able to pick one up through my employer. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's inside, and then if you did miss out, or if you have just the base game and you want to get all those little expansions, and you want to have all those scenarios and everything like that, and you want to upgrade, and maybe like hand off your base game to somebody else so they can enjoy the game as well, this is something that you can pick up through Fun Again. But anyway, let's show you what's inside, and I'll come back here and I'll give you a brief little final thoughts. Alright, so here we have the Deluxe Master Set of Snowdonia. Interesting fact, when I first purchased this game back in 2012, I thought Snowdonia was a completely made-up name. Like one of my D&D campaigns where I and the land to the north is known as Snowdonia. But I guess it's like an actual, I googled it, and it's an actual range of mountains in Wales. So it's kind of cool. So this has one of those box sleeves that people seem to be either way on them. As far as I know, Scott Alden has told me many times the first thing he does is he takes the box sleeve off and he throws it away. I'm like, horrors. I kind of like the box sleeve. It means that if I scuff up the box, the sleeve itself will stay pretty nice, or the sleeve might get ripped up, but the box itself will stay okay. Plus, I look at it as you get 2 types of art for the game for the price of 1. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that off there. I really dig the look of this. When I first saw this, I thought that this was like a raven or something like that, but no, it's not a bird. It's just a really, really cool looking range of mountains, and I think that's really nicely stylized, if you will, and nice work on the spot UV as well for all those things, so it just kind of pops. Now, this is a bit of a tight fit, which is fine. I don't mind that so much. Now, I remind you that, I own the game, and I have tracked down, prior to this, I had tracked down most of all the little expansions and additions, so this is kind of a fresh little new look for me. We're both going to be looking at this as I open it up. So this is the rules and the basic how to play part of the game. Tells you a little bit about everything, how to play the game, and how to just get started, and also has the solo mode as well, which obviously is good. It also tells you a little bit about the master set, meaning that all of the little expansions and scenarios are included in this box. This is the Train Master List Appendix. Now this describes each and every one of the little cards and tells you what they do. I always like this, so if anybody has a question, it's like, well, what does this thing do? You can just hand them this book and you'll be able to look that up immediately. This is one of those things where I understand that games get popular, and when the games first come out, they can't include everything. So that's why all these little expansions exist. But I just wish more companies would do something like this, where after the fact, you could be able to have some sort of appendix where you could look up all the little tiny cards and rules and what have you, instead of having 7 or 8 different little tiny pieces of paper inside the box when you're playing. Now this is the cool thing. So look at this. This is the scenario book. So all the different scenarios you can play. Think of all, this is, let me see, 1, 2, let me see how pages this is. This is 75 pages of different scenarios and different things that you can play in this. This is fantastic. If you will, I doubt anybody will ever play all the different scenarios. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be somebody, but very few people ever are. But you're going to be able to play it however you like. And then fantastic player aids. If you watch my videos, you tell I speak all the time about really, really, really good player aids are something that everybody should invest time and effort into with any game, because of the fact that it just helps so much. You don't have to hand the rules around as the game is played. People can just look down at their player aid and they can know what to do. All right, so these are game trays. This company is fantastic. They work, I've met the people that run game trays. they work with companies and figure out the perfect size trays for the components, and they make these specific for each game. And so you're going to get tons of these game trays included in here. You'll notice that they even give you a pencil along with like everything else. And these, like, and I hope you notice, but this, like, this box is completely and totally full. It is like just jam-packed with everything that possibly can have. Score sheet, which is always nice to have. And then now we have, you know, the ubiquitous wooden cubes, of course. Now, first, let's not eat our silica gel, of course. And then some very, very nice, like, wooden squares with the, this is like either heat image or screen printed. I don't know which, but they will not wear off. It's kind of like they're just imprinted in there. And of course, everybody's favorite, you know, the goats here. Look at that cool goat. So you get a big old bag of goats. And finally, the last bag, here we are. Here we have our train workers here. Look at that guy. He's super cool. These kind of also, like, I like how, I'm gonna point something out here with looking at, like, let's look at this blue one here. So if you can see, there's like several different colors. And from my time working at Tasty Minstrel Games, here you can probably see it better in the yellow. From my time working at Tasty Minstrel Games, every single time you add a color to any of these, like any wood, we're either doing a heat press or a silk screen onto them, it adds more to, like, the cost of production and the time and effort it takes to make it. So when you see stuff like that, it tells me that they've really taken the time to do so. So now you get some more game trays. And so in here, we have even more of the, components. Here, he's the foreman, the boss guy. So, and like, if you are a person that likes a ton of wooden bits in your game, this definitely is going to have it. And NSCAN Games really went overboard and made sure that you had top of the line components for all of these things. And this is, like I said, this is one of those that, like, I told myself I was going to, there's the wood, I told myself I was going to, oh, and then of course I wanted to make sure I showed you this guy. There's the Yeti. That's awesome. I wanted, when I saw this was out there, I wanted to make sure that I backed it. And then of course I totally blanked on it, like I always do with these things. So, you know, then here we have whoever grabs first, the first player. And then being able to get a hold of one of these after the fact was like, I mean, I think it was one of those things where I wanted to get it, and then here's weather cubes, or weather discs, I should say. I wanted to get it, and then I had to convince myself to do so because of the fact that I had all those things. I had, like, the vast majority. Check it. I had the vast majority of all of the little expansions and everything, and little coffins. I had the vast majority of all of those components already, right? And I was like, oh, can I really like figure on buying this? It didn't make much sense, but and then I was like gonna do it, and then I forgot about the day, and then of course I missed it. So, you know, like, fear of missing out was in full force, and I was a little upset. Now, obviously, this is a ton of the cards for all of the base game, and obviously all of the expansions, and you get a fantastic place to keep all of these cards in there. You know, I'm not going to go through each and every deck to show you each and every one, but you can just tell how much play or gameplay is going to be included. And once again, you know, you don't have to worry about missing out on anything because this has everything. Now, one last thing, and I want to mention something really quick here that you might not realize. You look at all this stuff. What's one thing that I haven't shown you yet? I have not taken out any cardboard. There isn't a single piece of, like, cardboard chits or anything like that you're punching. This is all going to be wood and cards. And so there you go. And so now here, and let me actually turn it the right way. So here is the double-sided board that you're going to be using for each of, and of course I'm twisting it the wrong way. I'll turn it like so. Here is the double-sided board that you'll be able to use for every single time that you play this game. Big, thick, tri-folded board, fantastic. And once again, everything fits in this awesome box. So, if you've never played Snowdonia, then I feel sorry for you, because it's one of the best games that's come out in the last 10 years, in my opinion. And, well, I guess 7 years technically, because it came out in 2012. And if you're a fan of worker placement, and you're a fan of like hand management and card drafting, this is one of the best games that has come out in this genre. And this is the perfect way that you can do to get everything right away. And if you like the game as much as I do, you will get hours and hours and hours of play out of this because of all the different ways that you can play it. But let me talk about that and more in my final thoughts. Yeah, no way is this thing being thrown around here. Nobody upstairs is going to drop this one down. It weighs a ton. This is a big, giant cube of games. So, for those of you expecting to see the box throw, it wasn't going to happen. All right, so, I've kind of gone over everything. The biggest thing here is that I want to say a couple things. One, I wish more companies did this. I wish more companies realized that there were a ton of little expansions out there that people weren't able to get a hold of, and at least put them in like an expansion box, like all the expansions. Like there's games like Agricola and stuff like that out there that have all these little tiny little 1 card or 5 card expansions, or just maybe even a cardboard counter or whatever. And when it'd be something that people do. Now I realize that it might not be cost efficient for people to do that. I know like the background of the board game industry a little bit, but if I had my druthers, as they say, I would have it that all those things. So all of us could have all the stuff, right? For those of us that really want it, they're able to get it. And so I'm really glad that this is out there. Now, if I'm going to include a link, if you want to actually see how the game is played, there'll be a link in my description to a video that is really, really well done as far as like how the game is played. You can check that out. But go look at it. It is it is ranked, I believe, in strategy games. It's ranked in like the top 250 on Board Game Geek. And when you think about the thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of strategy games out there, that this is ranked in the top 250, that is something to be said. And also, it's just, as I said, it is the perfect combination of two mechanisms that I love. It is worker placement and it is card drafting. There's something about those two mechanisms that if those are in a game, I'm going to like it more often than not. And this one just knocks it straight out of the park. But don't take my word for it. Go ahead, read up on it. And if for whatever reason you weren't in the hobby back in 2012 and you weren't able to get, it's been available since then, but if you haven't heard of it, because a lot of times these games that are really, really good, because of the sheer amount of games that come out, we just don't know of these games exist, right? So if you are unaware of this game, I invite you to go ahead and check it out. And if you want to get the all-in giant package, you can go to funagain.com and you'll be able to pick up your very own copy. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. As always, I really appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Dead Viking. You are awesome. And don't forget, be the best version of you that you possibly can every single day of your life. And if you keep doing that and you keep throwing love out to the universe, I guarantee the universe, more often than not, is going to throw love back to you. All right, take it easy.